In the United States, comedian Jimmy Kimmel is back on air. That's after Disney, the parent company of Kimmel's longtime network ABC, suspended the late-night show following his comments on the reactions to the killing of right-wing influencer Charlie Kirk. ABC was threatened by regulators and the Trump administration after Kimmel said the president's supporters were trying to score political points from Kirk's assassination. Disney brought Kimmel back on Tuesday following public outrage about his suspension and a call to boycott Disney. When he took the stage last night, Kimmel didn't shy away from criticizing his biggest critic, calling the president's attempt to coerce the affiliates who run his show illegal and un-American.
For one simple reason.
His comeback was defiant but also emotional, especially when talking about the assassination of Kirk. Let's listen in.
I've been hearing a lot about what I need to say and do tonight, and the truth is, I don't think what I have to say is going to make much of a difference. If you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. I have no illusions about changing anyone's mind. But I do want to make something clear because it's important to me as a human, and that is, you understand that it was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man. I don't think there's anything funny about it. I posted a message on Instagram on the day he was killed, sending love to his family and asking for compassion, and I meant it, and I still do. Nor was it my intention to blame any specific group for the actions of what it was obviously a deeply disturbed individual. That was really the opposite of the point I was trying to make, but I understand that to some that felt either ill-timed or unclear, or maybe both. And for those who think I did point a finger, I get why you're upset. If the situation was reversed, there's a good chance I'd have felt the same way.
Kimmel then used much of the rest of his opening monologue to criticize the Trump administration's threats against his show, which he sees as part of a bigger pattern.
This show is not important. What is important is that we get to live in a country that allows us to have a show like this. I've had the opportunity to meet and spend time with comedians and talk show hosts from countries like Russia, countries in the Middle East, who tell me they would get thrown in prison for making fun of those in power, and worse than being thrown in prison. They know how lucky we are here. Our freedom to speak is what they admire most about this country. And that's something I'm embarrassed to say I took for granted until they pulled my friend Steven off the air and tried to coerce the affiliates who run our show in the cities that you live in to take my show off the air. That's not legal. That's not American. That is un-American, and it is so dangerous.
Well, hours before Kimmel's show was broadcast, Trump slammed its return. In a post on his Truth Social platform, he said, "I can't believe ABC fake news gave Jimmy Kimmel his job back. The White House was told by ABC that his show was canceled." He went on to say, "I think we're going to test ABC out on this. Let's see how we do. Last time I went after them, they gave me $16 million. David Greene is the Senior Staff Attorney and Civil Liberties Director at the Electronic Frontier Foundation and a free speech advocate. David, welcome to the show. Jimmy Kimmel returning to the air. Is it a victory for free speech?
Yes, in some ways it is. It's not a complete victory, but it's certainly something to celebrate that ABC heard the complaints from everybody and decided that they were going to put him back there, I think, much sooner than they had expected to. And I think the biggest proof that this was a victory, both for free speech and also for democratic principles broadly, is how upset the President Trump was about it. So it clearly was not what his expectations are when he first heard that they were capitulating to the threats.
I'd like to talk about FCC Chair Brendan Carr here. What's been his role in all of this?
Yeah, well, as far as we know, I mean, his public role certainly has been to excoriate ABC and to pressure them to fire Jimmy Kimmel and to cancel the show. What he said was, you can either do this the easy way, which seemed to imply that they on their own would just cancel the show, or you could do it the hard way, which I think at the time was pretty much perceived by everybody to mean that the FCC would take some type of punitive enforcement action against them. And then ABC responded shortly after that. There was reporting that executives within ABC said they did not want to do this, but that the pressure from the FCC was so great that they did, even though it was not their own. It would not otherwise have been their choice. So that was his role. I mean, he was the main pressure point from the government, threatening official government sanction against them, and I think that's unconstitutional. I don't think our First Amendment permits that. He's since walked back and said, "Oh, by the hard way, I just meant it would be hard for us because we'd have to initiate some type of proceedings, and that would be difficult for us." But I don't think anyone truly believes that's what he meant when he said it the first time.
Now, he makes these threats out in the open, as does Donald Trump. He has called on other shows to be canceled. He has vowed in writing to go after ABC. Is any of this legal? Would any of this hold up when challenged in court?
Well, I would hope not. I think it's very obviously counter to the First Amendment. We just had a Supreme Court case 2 terms ago that dealt with this idea of when the government can coerce an intermediary, somebody who facilitates somebody else's speech, can coerce them to change their editorial practices and to not publish something the otherwise would have published, or broadcast something the otherwise would have broadcast. And the Supreme Court affirmed a 50-year-old body of law that said you can't exert pressure and threaten official sanction in a way that requires this intermediary to replace their own editorial decision-making with that of the government. And that's clearly what both the FCC and the president intended here, and what actually happened. So I don't think that would be illegal. In terms of the president yesterday threatening some legal action against ABC, I, for the life of me, cannot figure out what that would be. But that's not unusual for President Trump to threaten legal action when there's no legal basis for it.
Throughout this week and all the back and forth, commentators have drawn parallels again and again with the behavior of leaders in authoritarian states. In your opinion, is the U.S. in danger of turning into one of them?
Well, we're certainly there's a lot of backsliding happening right now in the U.S. into authoritarianism. I think there's every week brings a whole new set of signs that the danger is fast approaching, if it's not already here in many respects. So yes, it's a very real concern in the U.S. that what this administration sees itself and aspires to be an authoritarian state, and is taking great steps to get there. And I actually think the capitulation by sort of major corporations who exert tremendous power in the U.S. is one of the most concerning signs that we're slipping into authoritarianism.
What do you expect to be the next chapter, the next step in Donald Trump's conflict with the media?
It's hard to tell what this man is going to do next. I don't think we'll see any let up on the pressure. What I really hope that ABC does, and that the tremendous viewing audience that they had last night when Jimmy Kimmel came back, will send some message and embolden other people who are faced with these threats to stop capitulating, and to show them that there's no benefit to trying to please this president with these things. He's just going to continue to attack you, no matter how often you give in and think that you've resolved the matter by trying to make him happy. And that's what ABC did. They had earlier settled a very frivolous and meritless lawsuit for a large amount of money, apparently thinking that would, get the president off their back. That's never going to happen. You have to stand up for your principles in the first, and then hold on them steadily. And the public will support you when you do that.
That's David Greene of the Electronic Frontier Foundation. Pleasure speaking to you today.
Thank you so much.